Hey, good morning. So, I was asked how do I animate cameras in Ventuz. So let's do a simple example. So what I've done is downloaded this model. So from Sketchfab, I'll put a link below if you want to try it, or you can get a similar model from the site. She's like a free one for testing. I just downloaded it as a GLTF, so we can just drag that into our scene. So I have it already unzipped in a folder, prepared, ready to drag. So let's open up Ventuz, Designer. It should pop open in a second. And load in your project, and there we go. So I've got an empty scene ready. So what I'll do is take the GLTF scene, drop it into my empty scene, delete the geometry import, and position this and scale it to what we need it to start with, so we can see it. So I'll just scale this down slightly and position the Y, change that scale so we can see the model clearly. Cool. Now you might want to go in here and adjust some of the materials, or add some lighting to it perhaps. I'm not going to spend too much time on the overall look, trying to get it to look nice, but yeah, you can do that if you want. On this one, I want shadow options and say turn cast and receive off on that dome, because we don't want it to apply any shadows. Turn the shadow back on. There we go. So we've got some kind of shadows going on here. If you want, you can go tweak those materials on the environment. I don't know. See, so specular, kind of maybe reduce the specular to just make it dark. That kind of looks cool. I'll up the resolution of the shadows. I'll go like 8 years, just really sharp. And if I spin that around, we can take a look, see how it looks. Looking good. Okay. There we go. Now you can tweak those, light the light a bit more if you want. I'm happy with that. Maybe we want to add some bloom, tiny bit of bloom. Whatever, it doesn't matter. There we go. Kind of like the look of that. Cool. It's not perfect, but the material here on the water bed, I'm just going to change that to no light. It looks a little bit brighter. There we go. I think we can even, is it transparent? What happens? No, there's nothing there, so yeah, just leave it like that. That'll do. Looks cool. Okay, we're going to just reset that Y position, get into a nice scale. Okay, cool. So say I'm happy with that, the way the model's looking right now. So let's rename this model. There we go. Let's get started. So let's say this animation, we want an animation, and this is just spinning, so it's just rotating all the time. Okay, so you can click in the little wiggly line, and then you could say choose like a clockwise or counterclockwise, or you can go here, animation, grab a mover, or the other ways to hit spacebar and then drag the mover in. But let's take the Y position and animate that. So the model's spinning. So you can put in the values for use preset. I'm going to just use the rotate preset. So rotate clockwise and set this to something like 30 seconds, maybe 45. We've got a nice, 360 spin. Okay, so let's focus on the cameras now. So that's what the whole video is about. So cameras, you'll find under the world access tab, that is built, and then camera. So drop a camera in. I like to place it above everything. So camera 1, and you see it's got a red tag to say this is active. So if I move it now, you can see this is the actual camera in the scene, and it's moving. So I can drag in another camera, camera 2, and now 2 is active and 1 is not. So now I can position 2 and say, okay, 2 is up here, and I'm going to say tilt down and look at this from up higher up maybe. So let's drop this up here. Let's do minus 90. So we're looking straight down on it. There we go. Can move this up in the Y. Cool. So we've got camera 1, camera 2, and let's get another camera, camera 3. And say this one be look closer in. Doesn't need to be perfect. There we go. We'll animate these in a second. Okay. So if you want to say switch between cameras, you can't like say double click the cameras here, or they don't actually switch. So to do that, you need to click on your 3D layered root here, or under the camera tab. If you click the little drop down, what it will reveal is camera, and then you can switch here between the cameras. So camera 2, camera 3, camera 2, camera 1, and so on. Now you have the option to keyframe that, for example, if you wanted to, so say animate those cameras switching, you could keyframe those. So you could drag that to your animation, go to your timeline. What I found is you have to type, you can't, so say I set a key here for camera 1, and then I say, okay, half a second I want to set camera 2. You have to actually type in the camera 2. You can't just say, there's no drop down to say which camera to select like you have here. There's no drop down to say, oh, keyframe that camera on there. So a cool thing I found is if you use the enumeration, which you'll find on the tools on the variables in Logic. So Logic, variables, there we go, variables, enumeration. And what you want to do is recreate this drop down list. So you got default. If you want to use your default camera, you might not want to. So under where it says names, what you want to do is create that list. So name, so default, comma, then cam 1, comma, cam 2, comma, cam 3, and then so on. If you have a 4th camera, 5th camera, you can add those two. Now if we close that text editor there, and we've got default, cam 1, cam 2, cam 3. Now you might think automatically just drag the default to the enumeration, and then you could use this, but it's not, it doesn't work like that, because what it'll do is link it to the output of the enumeration, and we don't want that. So what you want to do is hold down, don't release, and then hover over the enumeration input of that, so the drop down. So now when you change your input here on the enumeration, it works. It's using that drop down. So this drop down now controls the cameras on the enumeration. And what you can do is keyframe that input here on the animation. I'll delete the old 3D layer one that we keyframed this, so I'm going to delete that old one. As you can see, it's the old channel. And now where we have the enumeration input, we'll set a key. Now set a new key. I can click here now, just click drop down, so I don't need to type it again. Like for each keyframe, I can just set a key and then just switch the camera, which is kind of easier. Camera 3. I mean, it's just a, you're still doing this. You create that list, and then when you're setting the keys, it just makes it easier. You can just select and change, oh, I want to change it, rather than saying, oh, type in cam 3, cam 1, type in default, or if you had a more complicated name, it becomes a lot easier just to select it from a drop down and say, oh, that's cam 3 and that's cam 2. So say we now you can see we already got animated camera, and it's really simple. There's not much really to do apart from animating some of these cameras. So you can keyframe, like you have the option to keyframe these cameras, so you can keyframe the position, the roll, or the tilt. Entirely up to you. You can use a normal keyframe animation. I'm going to use movers to animate these, so they all have different little animations. So maybe on this one, on the Z, I'll be -20. It's 20 for now. It's 20, and then increase that out. And then I'll slow this down, say 20 seconds, and I'll say like something like cosine. There you go. So now we've got camera 1 has a mover and it's got its own animation while this whole thing spins. And then we want to go to say camera 2, which is this, and 2 we could say, I don't know, we could animate in the Y here. We could animate the Y perhaps. So we could add another mover and bring that out. 32. Right now the value is going to be 32. Yeah, just increase that a little bit. Closer. There we go. So now we've got this animation going on. You can slow down that duration as well. So you're happy with it. Again, I'll do like cosine or something. And you can see now I can switch between 1. I've got camera 1, camera 2, and camera 3 is kind of static. Nothing's happening there. But maybe we want that to have its own animation as well. Mover. Maybe we'll just animate the roll. I don't know. Or let's see. I don't know. You can see. Let's animate the Z as well on this. Okay. Set that to -38. Now increase that time. Put that value. There we go. Cosine, and then speed that up a bit more quicker. There you go. And now we've got animation going on for that camera. There we go. So now you can see we've got animation on each camera using the movers, so they're all animated individually. And you can change the properties of each camera if you want. And then we have a camera animation that switches, so we can switch between those cameras. So we can do a set a state on each one. So we click here and you can go new state, or shortcut is S. Set a state on each key, S, S, and S, which will switch the cameras. If you go into your logic view, what I recommend is naming these states. So S1 will be cam 1, for example, and 2. Well, actually, this will be default. Then it's cam 1, cam 2, and cam 3. You can name these whatever you want, to be honest. Click on your auto connect. So here, auto connect states. Check the jump states, auto and overwrite existing. There we go. And you'll notice here you have your cameras already ready. Now we can focus on this. If you click on the animation, you can say, cameras, name that whatever you want, this animation. Now I can click here and I can link these to buttons or UI overlay to control those animated cameras. as you can see. And default, which is what we started with, that's just the model spinning on its axis, and then we can have now the drifting cameras on the movers. I can switch between those. If you wanted to say add a button overlay onto this, what I'd recommend is you have another 3D layer, like a standard 3D layer, and then just call this like UI or something over the top, and then create a button. So touch button, and the color, I'll use a solid color, and a rounded rectangle for now. So this is not affected by cameras because it's in its own layer. You can turn this, we can just switch this off for now while we build the button, so we can just focus on those buttons while we build them. Nothing fancy, to be honest. You know, you can change the roundness, you can make it a circle into a square, whatever you want. Turn those sides off, or you know, make a fancy button, reduce that tessellation, whatever you want. Anyway, so say we've got a button anyway, that's our button, button 1 or whatever, and then duplicate this. We've got 2, 3, and 4, so we've got 4 buttons because we only have four camera states, for example. And move that last one here, give them different colors so you know, just to make them, maybe don't go for blue because the whole thing is blue. The scene is there's a lot of blue in that model. There we go. Oh. That'll do. I'll name these 1 to 4, and what you can do is expose. For now I'm just going to expose a single tap on each one out of this layer, so expose these out. So now if you click on your 3D layer and your 2D layer, you see here on your UI layer, these are already exposed. So what we need to do is expose our animation for the camera switch. Let's turn that layer back on so we can see it. Click on the animation and expose those buttons, so those events. And now we want to shift select our 2 layers, so our 3D layer and our UI layer. Okay. And we want to connect the 2. So default, go to single tap 1, camera 1 to 2, 3, and 4. So now as I click on each button, it'll switch between the scenes. So this one's got the drifting ones, this one's top, you know, and I can switch between those really quickly, and they're all animated. And then I can adjust these on the fly. Go into here, just say I want camera 1, and I want it to be more, you know, more zoomed in and it's quicker. You know, I can go and do that and then switch between them. Go back to our default. If I want to switch my UI buttons, it's really easy. You know, I could change that layout and then position them up in and so on. You know, just reset the X position so they're all stacked along the left. I don't know. So there we go. Go here, you know, say reset that tessellation. This is just a bit extra, you know, but yeah, this. And we've got circle buttons. But yeah, hopefully that helped you out. You know, you can go and add your post effects and all sorts. If you want. balloon. Add some more glare, I don't know. Maybe play around with the lighting if you want. There you go. So you're happy with the look, overall look. Yeah. If you want, you can adjust that. You can keyframe the lighting to change as well. So, for example, I want the lighting to change for each one. Maybe like this view here, I want the light to be from this direction, and then the top down view, I want to change that lighting to something like this. So now the camera's changing and the light's changing, and there you go. But yeah, hopefully that was useful. That's how you can animate cameras and switch between cameras, and have them interactive at some point. Yeah. Also, what I forgot to mention is with the cameras. For example, if I go to say camera one, which one's camera one? Whatever camera one is, anyway, this camera one. You got orthogonal. So if you want to make it, more flat, you can do that, and then just adjust your width, right, so it doesn't look squashed. There you go. Now you got this orthogonal. You'll probably have to adjust the Z won't work. So right now, I think we're using the Z position. Z position doesn't work. But yeah, I could squash this down if I want either. Change that position on the Y. Tilt this. Let me change that width so it looks proportions look right. Yeah. So you can have different. You can have an orthogonal, and then you can go back to your normal perspective camera. So you can have different types of cameras, which is kind of cool. There you go. Hopefully this helped you out, and enjoy the rest of your day. I'll put a link to the model if you want to, try to reuse that model if it's available at the time that you're looking at this video. Anyway, so goodbye for me. Take it easy. Bye bye.